Hello, my name is Jared Wilson, and welcome to my AEP 858 Data Analysis and Assessment. This is Module 12 Data Protocol for Fort Hays State University. The first image I have or visual I have right now is our breakdown for an SCA, almost like a pamphlet or a flyer for how we break down our data. It's kind of our improvement diagram. So how are we going to use that data for improvement and the overall cycle that kind of takes place? And it starts off with identifying who we are, what our goals are, what our expectations are, and identifying whether or not we are on track to meet a goal, or whether we were on track to meet a goal, or whether we were falling behind. That next step is to identify possible supports. What can we make an improvement on? How can we collect data? Kind of pushes the direction for data collection. So how can we measure data, and are we missing any data? That's kind of identifying those measures we need to ensure that we are collecting effective and accurate data. The next step is to collect that data and identify what the data is telling us, how our data can be used, what has impacted our data, if we've had any outside resources or outside unforeseen circumstances that could have impacted our data. Are we somehow manipulating our data? Just making sure that the data we're using is in the right filter, it's in the right perspective, so that we can get the best we can. And then identifying what measures were installed or can we install on our data. So identifying that we can break our data down even further to target specific populations, specific groups within our school system, or our testing assessment data. The next breakdown is the strategies that support the data. So what strategy can we implement that has been proven by data to support the gaps we found within our own personally collected data? The next step is the impact of that support, monitoring. Are we making growth? Are we standing still? What exactly is changing with these types of support systems? Making sure we're identifying who is going to gain for the support system, who is our target audience or our target students for the support system, and then how does this, or when does this change take effect, to determine an appropriate time to progress monitor that data. And then it repeats that cycle again as it goes back up, identifying another group or another expectation for data collection. This is kind of a breakdown. This would be something to give staff on like a data day or professional development day. The first section on the top left is what students are being impacted. So this is kind of just identifying who are our subjects, who are we looking for, why are we looking at this data, how are we trying to make change. That's just identifying that subgroup again. And then looking at, does our assessment capture accurate data? So if we are going to look at data, we're sitting down that data day and we're using an assessment that doesn't even relate to what we would like it to. It's just that first step of realizing whether or not we're going to receive actionable data or not. At the top, I put what is or are our goals. So identifying those goals so that we know, once we're looking at our data, we're diving into our data, what our goal is. What does our data say? So just looking at, statistically how our students are doing. I have an alternative data collection, so maybe we need to dive further into data. We need to dive further into different assessments to gain better data. Is that kind of piece. You have on the top right ways to monitor support. So just how do we progress and monitor our kids? What ways can we do that? How can we set some benchmarks to make sure we're meeting growth? And then strategies support gaps found in our data. Kind of looking at this from a big picture, how might teachers react to being given a protocol to help with data dialogue and discussions? I think it helps provide teachers with organization and focus. I believe that sometimes we give teachers data and it can be so overwhelming, or there can be so much to focus on that it's too much of a playing field. We need to kind of zone in on one area, help guide that, and then can move from area to area after we have found that effective support systems that are needed. And then it's goal oriented. So just identifying goals so that they know what we are tracking. Same concept of why we share our standards with our students. They have in their mind where their end goal is. Same concept. How could your protocol be adapted to work with different subjects in different groups? So this is just can really be changed by determining specific audience, looking at specified goals. It can be changed with the types of different progress monitoring that takes place, but it can still be used in really any area to determine effectiveness. And then last, how might a graphic organizer help with data analysis process? The biggest thing is that it tracks progress, it follows procedures, it tells the staff, here's exactly what we're doing, here's step 1, step 2, step 3, step 4. Have we thought of step 7? Have we thought of step 8? And kind of wraps up what our agenda is, what our goals are, and kind of creates some uniformity towards that. And here is just a snapshot of my correlation, my relevant, and my reflection. Thank you. Have a wonderful day.